what do you think it would take to get Dark Side Phil in a ring?
I don't know.
And would you do it? What would it take? I don't know. Like, what's the line that you would cross to get DSP in a boxing ring?
The thing is I actually understand the value of Boogie 2988, and I understand the value of Wings of Redemption, and I understand the value of Darkside Phil. I do. They have value. They absolutely have value, but it's not being used the right way. Like this boxing match was a perfect example of, look, they're lolcows. We'll throw them in a ring, and now like everyone's entertained. They love it, and they love them for doing it, right? But he doesn't trust me. So I don't know. If I'm offering you $50,000 and you can't get on the phone call, right? You can't just communicate with me. I don't know what it would take. It would be near impossible. That's part of the reason why I'm trying to figure this guy out and go through and do this documentary on him, is because I want to know who this guy is, because I really don't know. He's a liar. He lies about so much stuff. He was on your show and he was clearly lying, right? It's like there's this documentary on YouTube where, they have all the bank records of somebody broke into his bank or whatever. And it's just like, bam, bam, all this proof that he was buying the wrestling skins or whatever on the mobile game. And he's up here, oh, that's not my account. I don't do that. Like there's a recording of him saying to his stream that he was addicted to this game. Like there's so much evidence. And we're talking about like a gambling addiction. So why couldn't he just say in that moment, yes, that was me. I had a problem. I fixed it. Like, I don't know.
We've said this a lot. We said this, like somebody pointed this out in the chat. They said, you guys gave him a golden ticket and he ripped it up. Yep. Gave him and he spat on it. So, well, you alluded to this, but I want to go over to, I was on a podcast called That Being Said earlier today, and they really wanted me to get more information about this tweet that you sent out, which you alluded to, but you said you've set up interviews with DSP and family. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And unlike him, they like money. So tell me more. What is this about? And you mentioned the documentary. We were kind of talking about it behind the scenes, but I don't know, you're obviously going through this with it. So tell me more.
So when I think of like one of the greatest like docu-series or whatever, it's got to be like Tiger King, right? It's like, it's such an interesting story. And I think that's why people are so obsessed with DSP, is because he's so interesting. Like he does the exact opposite in every scenario that he should do. And you're just like, you're stumped like at some of his moves and how he acts. And you're like, is this a real person? And I'm so curious to find out who is the actual person, because I see him on his stream and he's like, we're going to have a fun time today and we're going to play some games. This is going to be some amazing entertainment and da-da-da. Like he's talking to millions and millions of people. But the truth is he's barely making it. And when opportunities come to help him in his career, he shuts them all down. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him talking to another YouTuber other than your show. He doesn't even communicate with the outside world. It's like the weirdest thing, and I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to talk to people that know him in real life. So,
that's the thing. I think we broke him, our interview broke him. And it wasn't necessarily our interview. It's that we talked about it the next day. And I don't know if you know the whole backstory behind this, but, I sent him an email just saying like, we do not trust what you said. There's so much that doesn't make sense in what you said. But we'd obviously love to continue the conversation. And here's the thing, like I personally want what's best for him. I want him to get to level 2, as you say, right? I think that would be a great human interest story if he found a way to take that next step in his career, after being at the same level for 18 years. But I truly don't think he wants it. And I think that he has been pointed out many times, he has his own bubble. And I think that our interview and just kind of laying things out directly in front of him as clear as possible pushed him further into his bubble, and him leaving that bubble scares him.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like this. He's like got a king complex or something. Like when he's on his stream, he is the one in charge. All right. You say something he doesn't like, you're gone. Right. Certain people get shout outs and da-da-da-da. And he's, we're going to wear the vest if you donate that money. And he's in full control. As soon as he's outside of that element, He's like, no. I need to get back. That's the bubble you're referring to.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it would take. I don't know what the motivation would be. He's got an excuse every step of the way to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. But I'm gonna find out. There's got to be some motivation somewhere in his life that would get him to do something else. And if he improves his life, if he goes to level 2, I'd be happy too. I'd be happy too. I think everyone that's obsessed with the dark side Phil and clipping him and all that, they would like to see Phil outside in the real world in a real interview, like where the interviewer is like right next to him. They would like to see like him going to Walmart or something. Like my vision of a documentary with Dark Side Phil is to like actually like capture who this guy actually is, because he is playing a character to the max. He's lying through his teeth on his streams. He's saying like, I don't have money to pay this and I don't have money to pay that, but really, obviously he's spending money on gambling and pets and alcohol and also their crazy stuff. I want to get to the real person and understand what is going on here. Is there a mental disorder? Is he actually a scammer? Is he sitting on like, thousands of dollars and people just don't know? I see someone in the chat say touch grass. I would love to see him touch grass. Right. Imagine if you had a piece of content of Phil walking into the park talking about his life and his career. That would be amazing.
You just maybe going to the gym, doing some curls or something. That'd be good. Man, that's awesome. With Phil, one of the big things you mentioned, the 50K, we touched on this in the podcast, with the Lolcow podcast with Wings, Boogie. I had Boogie on. I didn't actually get a chance to really talk to him about the 50K, but I'm sure he was pissed at the idea that, DSP kind of shot the whole thing down. Do you, I don't know, let's take a step back. Let's go back to this interview thing. Have you actually set up anything with his friends or family at this point?
Yes.
Care to elaborate?
I don't want to say more than that. Yes. But okay. Well, actually, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there is a little bit of a moral dilemma going on here. So Augie RFC, are you familiar with him? He's a streamer. Mm-mm. Augie RFC calls me on his stream the other day and he's like, isn't this a little fucked up that you're going to interview his family and friends? Like, isn't that like kind of like doxing or intrusive? And I'm like, well, I'm a journalist. If I'm doing a documentary, you got to talk to people that know him. You got to get the story, da, da, da. And then like, so I'm dealing with this because it's like, I've always wanted to like protect content creators and their privacy. And the idea of like interviewing family members and friends seems so fucking icky to me. And so I've been like trying to figure out, is there another way to do it? Is there another way to capture it without being so intrusive? And at the end of the day, I always come back to, well, I need Phil to play ball. Like I need Phil to sign off and like actually be a part of this film. That is the only way it really works. So yeah, we have contacted some people. We have set up some stuff. We don't have shoot times or anything like that, but we have agreements to put together. I actually have to fly there to sit down with these people because I don't want to do any internet stuff. If I'm making a film, like I want to be there, just like the Wings and Boogie thing that I did.
Right. It's a good decision. Can I chime in on that? Because I don't think that there's, so from a journalistic standpoint, right, what you do is you exhaust your resources. You exhaust your resources to tell the best story you could possibly tell in the most objective way you can possibly do it, right? You've reached out to Phil. Phil doesn't want to be a part of it. So you're going to tell the best story you can tell through the assets that you have. If that's friends, if that's family, if it's the guy at the coffee shop who serves them every Tuesday, then you do that. I don't think there's any moral issue with that personally. I think that as a journalist, if that's the cap that you wear as a journalist cap, I think that is something that's part of the obligation, is to chase the story as best as you can until the story dries up.
100%. You're 100% right. But then there's this other element of like the YouTube community and YouTubers and how they look at that. And they would be like, that's fucked up. That's too intrusive. Like I wouldn't want some journalist interviewing my family members or, my significant others and neighbors and shit like that. That's just like crossing a line to them. So it's this like weird thing that I've been juggling for the last couple days, to be honest.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate that, so you can find more clips on the channel. And of course, come join us live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time for our live Side Scrollers podcast. We would love to see you there.